Hi everyone, Producer Nerd here. I'm going to give you a first look at Logic Pro X. Trying to make this video as basic as I can. It is a very complicated program, but once you know your way around it, it becomes a lot easier. It's just, that's why you're watching this video. It's either you have used other digital audio workstations, DAWs, before, Cubase or Pro Tools or Cakewalk, and maybe you just want to have a look at Logic Pro X. What is it like? Is it too complicated? Maybe you're coming up from GarageBand and wanting to purchase Logic. Logic is not very expensive. It's probably the cheapest of its kind. With what it gives you, the amount of plugins and instruments, everything that it gives you basically just kills the opposition. I do not know a single digital audio workstation software on PC or Mac that has the amount of things given to you for the price than Logic. And for me as a professional producer, it really is the king of all DAWs, right? And I do use others, but this is what the video is for. I want to show you inside Logic Audio, or Logic Pro X. That's how long I've been using it, and see, give you a bit of a look around so you can see what you're doing. If you're first time diving in, you'll basically know what you're doing from get-go. So let's have a look. At the moment, I have made sure that I go Preferences, Advanced Tools, and switch on Show Advanced Tools. If you don't click on that, you're going to miss out on a whole lot of features in Logic. So Logic, Preferences, Advanced Tools, Show Advanced Tools. Just click on that one right there. Okay, moving on. I have, when I first opened up my session, it did want me to open up a brand new track, just to start with one track. Choosing an audio track, something you can put a piece of sound on or record onto, a real instrument, singing, piano, something like that. A software instrument where Logic supplies the sound, which there are just millions of sounds in Logic. Seriously, a crazy amount of sounds given to you. Synthesizers and sample libraries, just a huge amount. So, if you're into the software instruments, Logic is really the king of this. I'm talking about what you get for the price installed. A drummer track. Now, drummer track can, if you open a drummer track, it basically is a very easy, intuitive track that will allow you to use either from beats through to real drummers and percussionists. And it's going to play automatically to your set tempo and style, and it's basically a joystick on complicated, hard, soft. It's very, very easy to use. It sounds amazing. So drummer track is great, especially for songwriters or if you're creating new stuff and need inspiration for a new track. Drummer track is very, very cool. External Midi track is one that you use if you have an external keyboard or Groovebox or something that has its own sounds that you're utilizing, and you just want to record all of your knob and pad settings and things like, from your box, and basically the sounds come from your little sampler box. If that's what you want to do, that's what an external Midi track does. And the next one is guitar or bass. This is fairly new in Logic. It is basically an audio track, except it gives you, it automatically loads up, ready to go, a bass or a guitar amp simulator and channel strip. And that's the most basic audio interfaces that you buy for your Mac. USB one, say the bottom, $200 interface will give you an XLR input for your microphone and a 1/4-inch jack for your instrument. So an instrument, if you're a bass player or guitar player, you plug straight into that with a synthesizer or even an instrument, and that track will get you started straight away. So for now, I chose an audio track just so that we could get under the hood, and it's time to get cracking. All right, we're just going to do the top line now, right? And we are on Show Advanced Tools. So you can see I've got a fair few things open up here. This is just a blank session. And a lot of these things can be explained in videos of their own, and I'll cover them later. So I'm going to try and be as basic as I can. Because I have opened up an audio track, maybe it's probably better to give you an instrument track as well. And an audio track, I can go to the first button, the library button, and here are all my presets. So if I want to record my vocals, I just choose voice, choose a different, notice how all the plugins here are just automatically setting up. So it's just setting up some defaults for me. That's in the library. So very, very cool. If I'm on an instrument and I want, say, a piano sound, Yamaha grand piano, it will load up the sample ready to go, and it's all ready to go. So that's what that library button. The next button is the info button. This one here shows me the information on what track is selected. If I select the Yamaha or the vocal, notice how the channel strip down here appears, and because it sets it output stereo, the stereo out channel strip also appears. So that keeps me keeps that one channel strip all the way down here. Whatever's selected is going to be down the bottom left. I always keep that on. I cannot work without that. That's definitely, even with my touchscreen, that's a must. So, and the next one is your little help button. Now this one is annoying to more advanced users, but if you click this one on, this will show you the basics of your program, and anything you hover over, it'll explain it. So look, you're watching this video because you don't want to read the manual, you want to dive right in. So let's just basically ditch that button for now. The next one is your toolbar. I don't generally use the toolbar myself, but you can put anything you like up here, your main edits. So after you've done some recording and you want to quantize it, you can go bim, hit a button and it'll do it. So you know, it's your quick, if you're not working with key commands or anything, you can just choose whatever edit. Now all of these are just customizable. So not my thing, and because it takes up an extra layer up here, I generally keep that hidden. The next button along is your control button. Because I have a vocal track and I've set it with EQ, compressor, tape delay, things like that in here, if I press this control button, it will give me the basics of this channel the way it is. So it gives me the compression, EQ, echo. I can switch these things on and off by the way, and you can see the actual plugins switch on and off as you go. So this is, you know, there's the plate reverb, spring reverb on the pedal board. So it's basically giving me all of the main features and the EQ separate of what I have selected. So as I change, this is the piano. So it's got a Yamaha grand piano, the low and high tones, the dynamics, which is just compression, its effects, you know, adding reverb. So if I'm playing the piano, you know, all of the main controls for what is on that track. So if you had a big fancy studio and you had a channel strip with everything on it, your EQ and compression and all the things in one thing for that one track, or on a big desk, this gives you that. So just select a track, see its controls. The next one along is a mixer, and you can choose to make it skinny or wide to show single tracks, all incomes, outcoming, or I like the middle one, the tracks, which just shows you what is on your arrange page and the master. Of course, I've set buses to set reverbs, and they've appeared over here as well. So anything that's in use, besides hidden tracks, your click track and things like that, appear. Okay. Edit is the next button. So this only applies to MIDI tracks. So if I was to play a little bit of piano here, then that shows you, so you can get rid of any wrong notes. You can quantize into time, change change notes around if you wanted to. So all of those things, even, you know, changing the velocity of a note, which is how hard it was hit, from soft, cold colors to hot, just using a different tool. So that's the V for velocity tool. So that's a cool little window. That's like a piano roll in just about any other digital audio workstation. Also shows you the score, step editor, you know, all the different views. So, all right, so moving on, our transport, which is your basic rewind, fast forward, start from the beginning, play and record. Notice how there's there's little drop downs here. If I was to hover over the record button, say, and just hold my mouse down, I can see that it has all of its, you know, settings and everything in here. I can choose, is there a count in for 1 or 2 bars? So when I press record, does it go back 2 bars automatically? You know, things like that. So all of those things can be set in your record settings. All of these allow you to be able to just adjust what type of record, what type of play from the beginning of the selected region, da 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 da. So, but basically they work just as play, record, and you'll have keys for that. I think spacebar does your start, stop, and asterisk, I think, does your recording out of the box. But you know, you can set those to do whatever you like in Logic. And remember, if you are a Pro Tools user or anything else where you have set key commands, you can import those into Logic too. So if you know all your edits, how to do stuff in Pro Tools, import all of those key commands into Logic, because it has key commands. You can go into Pro Tools and it just set it to Pro Tools. It's easier to start working straight away when you're hitting buttons and it's doing what you want it to do. Okay, this main display up here, I have this set to show me all the things that I want. My SMPTE time, so if you're working in film or television stuff, you want to know exactly at what seconds or anything happens. Below that I have the bar, and then up here is my selected. You know, so if I've selected 2 bars, it shows me between bar 1 and 3. This is the 48K for my audio, so this is my sample rate. Tempo, which you can double click and change, or just move your mouse up and down. It's pretty self-explanatory. Then you've got tempo options. If you're importing audio or other pieces of music, you want to tempo match. This will adapt the tempo, or it will go into auto mode. Even will give you a choice. Do you want to change the tempo of Logic to suit this piece of audio? Very cool little tools in there. I think that's a lot like your beat detective in Tools. Then you have your time signature, 4 4 2 4 6 8. What is your, you know, 1 2 3 4 beats in a bar, 3 4, and of course if I change that to 5 4, it will be 5 beats in a bar. 2 3 4 5 1 2, until I change it back, and it'll add a new little signature change. So you can change your global signature change, but which is here in signature. But you know, we just default on 4 4, and 16 is your resolution of your quantize, or your actual resolution you're looking at. I've got a little grid there. You can see the little lines that I have going. So there's 4 little beats inside every count. 16 subdivisions in a bar, and that's why I've set it on 16. It's a bit of a default. This one here is your incoming and outgoing Midi window. So if you play a chord, it'll tell you what chord it is, or note, and how hard you've hit it. It's a note, it's D3, it's at 119, you know, there's your... So, and of course, if you have any Midi problems hanging notes, you can double click in here and it will send out a Midi note off messages, like a panic button, basically, just to reset. Show your CPU and hard drive activity up here. Now these are sort of small, but you can double click on them and they'll appear. Remember, this is an Apple software, and a lot of Apples these days, if you have a modern Apple computer, an iMac, or you know, a laptop, they all have multi-cores, right? So this one here will show you the processing threads within the cores. So I have an 8-core machine. Here's my 8 cores. You can see a little bit of processing thread because it's listening to my microphone as I talk to you. So that's working on an input. It's a tiny little piece of work it's doing down there, about 10% of one of my cores. And Logic, it distributes the power needed to different cores. So in a nutshell, I think it makes it a very, very powerful tool, especially if you're on Apple. It's written by Apple to do, to be the strongest, most efficient software application for what it is. So that will show you what everything's doing. Some are doing input, some are doing reverb, auxes, some are doing playback and plugins, inputs on another. This is really a big game changer for digital audio workstations. When multi-cores came out and Logic wrote the software, Apple wrote Logic software to process things to different cores and showed you what it was doing. I think that was a game changer. Drive I/O means how fast your hard drive is. If I'm recording 24 microphones at once in a band, all at once, and they're high resolution files, my hard drive needs to be able to lay down a lot of files, really big files, and really quickly. If my hard drive is working slowly, then of course it's going to come up with an error and it's going to say no can do. You can't blame the software for that. Drive input output is very, very important, especially when you're dealing with big files. So I use a solid state drive in mine, so everything is worked within the solid state drive until I'm finished with it. Then I back it up onto my USB one. But the drive I/O will show you whether your computer's hard drive is working hard. You don't want it to be working hard. All right, if it is, get yourself an external drive, a Thunderbolt drive or something a little faster and work with it, because it makes a huge difference. Okay, from here we move over to a couple of these. I mean, I can add more of these as well. I'll just add like low latency mode, input monitoring, punch in and out, software monitoring. So there's a whole bunch of different things you can put up here. This is just my custom control that I use up here. So things like low latency mode is very cool. If you want to record, you've got lots of plugins that have latency. Put on a pitch corrector or something that has makes everything go a little late. Put it on low latency mode, and that will be able, you'll be able to record into that track really easily. So it'll turn off plugins that can't function with low latency. It'll just switch them off. So as you can see, my buses where the reverbs go are switched off. So I won't hear any reverb if I'm recording in low latency mode. I generally only need to click that when I'm in the middle of a mix and I decide to add something. The sync button might be, you'll have a groove box on the side that has its own tempo and beats, and you don't want Logic's 100 beats a minute up here to be the boss of the tempo. You want your box to be the boss. You plug it in, and as you change the tempo, Logic will change its tempo along. It's no longer the boss of the tempo. And that can be synchronization as far as frame rates and sample rates as well. Then you have a tuner. It's not a tuner. The tuner. If you have a guitar input or bass input, it's very, very cool to use this one. 50 cents on either side, so at 100 cents in a semitone. So it gives you half a semitone on either side. That's listening to me. And I find it probably a little bit sensitive for guitar. Not all guitar players like it, but it's really cool just to be able to hit it. Our solo button is, only solos what is selected. It's not like a channel solo button. It's whatever's selected will play. So, an array of buttons that you can customize up here. Next one I've got is your count in, 1, 2, 3, 4 count in, and your metronome, of course. Your main volume out of the DAW, that's basically, you can have your main volume down here, but this one here is a master volume, absolute master volume. You can pull this down if people need it at, you know, if you're doing some film work and you need to give it at -6 dB or whatever. That is your master output. Nothing gets past that. And these 4 buttons are very important on the end. We're almost done. Hang in there. Okay, list button. Now this one here gives me the events. So I've in this case, MIDI events. Each one of these is like a note. Its note, its you know, velocity, how hard I hit it, its length, and its position. So if you want to work within the step editor, along with this guy here, that's very, very a cool little feature. Markers are, you know, if I want to put a marker at bar 2, I go there, press the plus, double click on it and call it whatever I want. Down here, bar 2, and up here it says bar 2. So markers are cool. Tempo, if you want to put any tempo changes, if I want to change the tempo at bar 2 to 130 beats a minute, I just do so. Etc. So tempos, tempo change, global tempo, and the key signature here, of course, for, you know, what key and time mode you are. Now, if you are using Logic, if you're not a musician and you use Logic to throw in, you know, elements to create your own original stuff, you definitely want to have your key signature, tempo, and your time signature set. At, you know, something to you know, to suit your voice or whatever vibe. So, and you can change your mind after. So if I was to throw in a loop, these guys are going to play according to what key I've set, right? Key and tempo that I've set. It doesn't matter that the string element here was in the key of B originally. When I play it, it's going to come out in the key that I've set it for. So we skip the button. This one here's the notes. I generally put lyrics in here, and any other notes that I want to put in there. Lyrics are probably the best, especially if you're songwriting. Put them all in there so they're saved in the session, and you know, you're always looking around for your lyrics and notes mix. Even if your client sends you a whole bunch of notes in an email of what to do to their track, they want, you know, they've given the whole 16 member of the band a listen and everyone's got their notes and they email them all to you. My favorite thing. That is going to just go in here so you can just tick them off as you go. So it's a little clunky and I prefer to copy and paste into it because you've got to press the edit button to keep on doing it, and it's to me I think it's a bit clunky, but it's very cool that it is there, the notes pad. The loops one I was showing you, you know, you've got instruments, you can choose beats, drums. This is a totally different video in itself showing you how to use this, so I promise I will make one. Look out for that. I'm showing, you know, just grabbing loops, instruments, beats. There's just absolutely thousands given to you for free with Logic, thousands. For the price, there is no audio workstation that is even close to Logic. There is nothing close to what it gives you in samples. And, you know, look, I'm not getting a kickback for that. I just know it because I've used them all and I know the amount of plugins and samples. This thing is king. For the price, pff, bang for buck. People crack Logic. I don't know why. It's so cheap. Why would you do that? To get it, like, and anyway. So that's Apple Loops. There's tons that come with it. The next one is Project, where your audio files live, importing media from your iTunes and stuff like that, and all files where you are basically bringing elements from other sessions. So someone's given you a session where they've given you a cool drum beat and bass line. You can just import those 2 tracks from that session into yours. Very cool little feature, right? So someone's just, you know, being able to, you're sharing a project with someone else is doing the guitar, they do the guitar track, you don't want to go through and look at their mix, you've already got your mix, you just want to lay their guitar in, you have a look at their session, find the tracks that adjust their guitar, and just bring them in. It's a very cool little feature. So all files is where that works. Look, that's really shown you the top bar. The rest of Logic is down the side here, and what everything does is probably another video. I'll go on with that, so giving you enough time, and you probably want to go and make a cup of tea and have a bit of a break or a beer. I hope that you like my videos, and I hope I don't talk too fast and it's not too complicated for you. If you have a request, please send me a message, and I'd love to make you a video for something that's really troubling you. Subscribe if you like my stuff. See you later for now.